She sat there, wondering what was happening as she gathered her memories of the night. Her hair that still clung to her face, and as she fumbled to it would pull little pieces of ice, which would quickly melt into water as her fingers held it. She would look at the three Murphy children huddling to keep each other warm. She could look around the other lifeboat and seeing people she had never seen. And then her eyes fixed upon Harold. Harold still wearing the same uniform that she last saw John in. She could just feel her heart skip just a little bit. Just like that, she wondered. Then she was angry at him because of him kissing her on the day when John saw her. He sent her off and the children. And then she thought, how is she going to survive in New York, a place she's never been to, with a child that she barely has money with? She remembered watching everything, and then with all her might, she looked back and she saw hundreds of people with the life jackets still on them, and them screaming kid yelling for their parents, and all she wanted to do was jump in, because the thought of John being in there struck her as cold as the water freezing to her body. She shook more than she had ever before, and it wasn't because of the coldness, it was of what just happened. She could just remember seeing everyone huddling together, people pushing just to survive, then the lifeboats. She couldn't imagine how the people she had grown to love on the third class were now floating in that cold water, trying to keep their children afloat, telling each other that they love each other. She saw other lifeboats around her. She wondered why none of them was going back. And with all her might, she tried to yell. She tried to yell names of people she remembered. Miss Graham and her three children. Even Sarah. But she knew that she had been dead for a while, and that her children were sleeping next to her. She had no idea what to do. All she wanted to do was to help them, but no one would let her. Every time she tried to move, Harold would kind of straighten up a little bit, because she knew that John told him to protect her. It always struck her cold that both of them knew that this was going to change. And then she wondered what was going to happen when the Carpathia came. Were they going to be saved, or were people going to die some more? And all she could feel was just hatred towards people. But then she had to think about all this love, and in the little bit you could hear little kids crying on the lifeboats. They had just lost their fathers, their brothers. You could hear mothers screaming because no one older than 18 could get on the boat. And then she decided that everyone lost something. She had lost her fiance, and then it tore her up just to think about how it just changed like that. 5 days ago, they were happy. They were moving to New York. She remembered dancing with him. He telling her he loved her. With Sarah and the three Murphy kids laughing so hysterically at John trying to do the Irish dance. And Harold, when before he had kissed her, just being there helping. She remembered going in there while they typed some stories, and she taught the kids how to use the telegraph even though they weren't supposed to. Just the thought of it. And how was she going to tell his parents was the thing that messed her up. How was she going to tell them that their son had been killed saving an Irish person like her? Their parents did not like her at all. That's one of the reasons they told him to move. It's just like that. 25, and she didn't know if he was alive or dead. She didn't know if he was floating with all the other people. She didn't know if he was clinging to life just a little bit, what was going through his head. But she knew that she would have to tell the story she survived the next 5 hours or 10, however long. She would raise the baby. She would take care of the Murphy kid. And when she looked at Harold again, she thought that he had done that for her. Even John pushed her away, but Harold was the one who grabbed her fiercely, not letting her jump into the water, not letting her come back out of the lifeboat. She thought that now, when the fog lifted her eyes, she saw what John had given her. And then she knew that this was going to be the story of a lifetime.